हर वर नार सुहावनी मैं भावे प्रभ सोए नानक शब्द मिलावड़ा ना विछोड़ा होए. So this was the ending statement from our last talk. Har var nar suhavani. Literally translated, Har means the creator. Var means the husband. The creator husband. Who's Nar? Nar means female. Sohavani, the one who is actually blessed. So what's happening? The one who has been blessed and has achieved to a certain state of evolution, how did she get there? The next statement. Har var na sohavani main bhave prabh soe. Prabh means the God, the creative energy. It is His will to grace the soul with that gift. But what has the soul contributed to it? Her contribution is Nanak Shabad Milavada. Means what? Shabad means the word. Milavada means the one who is the mediator, the introducer, the middle person. Milana, introduce karna. What introduced this to that? The word. What word? The word that was representing only that energy, nothing but that. There was no other connotations to it, there was no other deviations to it, there was no other expectations of it. Just one. That word that helped the entity to get there, where? Nanak Shabad Milavada Na Vichoda Hoye. Once you get there, then there is no falling back. You cannot reverse. And from there is another principle that we should understand very clearly. Evolution can never go back. It cannot go backward. Which is a very common misunderstanding. Oh, you mean to tell me, can I be a dog in next life? The answer is, you may live a dog-like life. You may behave like a dog. Meaning thereby, dog, what is dog? Dog has two manifested characteristics. Positively, faithfulness. Negatively, greed. So if these are the two qualities which are absolutely at the top of your agenda, it doesn't matter how beautiful, handsome, pretty, or this and that you are living a dog's life. Because those are the qualities you are manifesting. Remember, you will have, the evolution will not take a reverse gear. It will not make you a dog. It can give you dog's qualities, a horse's qualities, a lion's qualities, a jackass qualities. Don't we say that he's stubborn like a jackass? But he's a human being. But he's manifesting those qualities. And that's what is being said here. Once you evolve to a certain level, you can fall back only from the thought process. Nature will then keep on forcing you. Go back. Go forward. And it will wait for you till eternity. You can repeat this cycle as many times as you want. It's your choice. And nature will not stand in a corner and yell for you and say, what are you doing? completely, that's the freedom part of it. Right? That's the free will part of it. I was in the yesterday going through some medical analysis, and while they were preparing me, then that nurse started talking to me and was saying, well, whatever the destiny is, you just pray that the destiny is good. So I was amused by that, and I said, well, first thing, if it's a destiny, there's no need to pray. It's not going to change. The destiny is a destiny. But understand that the destiny, taken as a fatalistic absolute principle, is the most damaging concept to human consciousness, because it ignores the free will element out of it. So I was using that example with her and saying, it is not America's destiny to suffer the consequences in Iraq war. They can come back. As a matter of fact, 79% of the United States population is saying exactly that. Come back. We don't need to spill blood in the name of whatever you have this in mind. Now you say it is our destiny because the chief executive officer is saying no this. No, that's a chief executive officer's free will part working. And that's the sad part of it. That we call it a democracy, and 79% of the people are saying no, and one person saying I'm going to do it. It is now tell me, where is the dictatorship now? What would you call dictatorship if this is not a dictatorship? It is not destiny. That is the free will portion.
Congress can override it. 2/3.
Absolutely, Congress can do nothing. The way the Constitution is written, he is the commander-in-chief. Congress, now this is just a political statement, and so let me share with you as to how I see it. Congress has learned their lesson in a Vietnam War. They shut down the funding, and the death toll went up. Who pays the price for funding not going? Not the chief executive officer, the people who are already there. He will still push that 20,000, 22,000, 21,500, whatever. He still push them. And Congress say, okay, we are not giving you. So instead of getting the bullets, they'll be throwing stones. Who's paying the price?
They could impeach him?
They can impeach, but that's a process.
Yeah, that's a process. If he doesn't agree to any resolutions passed by the both houses, they could
go through that process, fine. But what is happening in the meantime though?
By the time the process goes
The
through,
innocent blood is still spilling in a land which is completely ungrateful to you. The only person who can do is exercise the free will and say, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. I cannot do one thing what is done. I'm stopping this nonsense right now. So now if you take that part and say, well, this is our destiny, you have ignored the free will component completely. Free will never leaves the humanity from this planet. It has never happened. It will not happen. It will always give you the choice. Now the problem comes, why we get confused? We say, well, I want her to change, but she is not. I'm helpless. My destiny. Understand, free will applies only to you, not to the other. Free will says you can change whichever way you want to change. Now, if you take that and apply on the other, that my way says, you change. That is not a free will. That option is not available to you. And majority of the misery is in that lack of understanding. And this was the message in our last sitting, that if you get on that path and follow that path, and there is a grace upon you, then na vichoda hoy. You're never going to fall back. Rest assured. Evolution is universal in that. But do we do that? Do we follow that path? Do we pay attention to the word? Do we practice that? No. What do? We start modifying it according to our own. Right? We start at, well, this is okay. What's wrong with this? Right? If we are told, always tell the truth. Right? So now I sit back here and start just, well, that's just a little lie. There's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't do anybody harm. Did it? I'm lying about myself. I'm hurting myself. I'm not hurting anybody. You just modified it. Hence, the next hymn. So what do the people really do? Instead of taking the word and implementing the word in its form as it is presented, as it is meant to be, we start modifying it. And how do we modify? Next hymn. See that link? So it starts, Jap tap sanjam sadhye tirath kichai vas. Right? Now these are the things we do. Jap. How do we do jap? We take the drums and the music and start beating it up. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. We started. Without understanding, because that's very easy, right? It's musical, it's rhythmic, it's appealing to the senses. Implement it. Tap. What is tap? Certain discipline of the body. Tapascharya. Well, we are supposed to be keeping the mind quiet. Okay, so I'll shut up. So, Mohan Vrat. What's a Mohan Vrat? I'm not going to talk about it. That's a tapasya.
Or fasting.
I'm not going to eat anything. Why? I'm fasting. Why? That's spiritual. Did you understand what tapasya means? No. What? What's wrong with that? This is tapasya. Japa, tapa, sanjam. Sanjam means control, discipline. Certain. Okay, fine. I have never touched a piece of meat. So much so, I don't even eat from the pot where once upon a time meat was cooked. I'm so pure. That's my discipline. Oh. Did you just notice what you just said? What has it done to you? I am such a pure vegetarian. Have you listened to that statement? That thought? It is so egotistical. It is so arrogant. It smells so much of ego that whatever discipline you had actually has done more damage to you than any good. I have never drink. My father used to have a very strange quotation. If you want to learn never to steal anything, go talk to a thief. Saint can only say, don't steal. Thief will take his shirt off and show you the back. See the lashes? That will have a very different impact than someone who just said, don't steal. What? That is experiential awareness, the other is just theoretical awareness. Don't steal. Without understanding, start following certain controls, certain discipline, which is we all do, okay? Right? I go to this temple, I go to this church, I go to the mosque, I go to this gurdwara, I do this. They do that. They are no good, I am better. Do you know there are more than 300 variations of Christianity alone? Look at the internet. It's mind-boggling. I was listening to the National Geographic survey on program on the History Channel, and they were showing that in all of the creative world, everything has actually contributed to the division by saying this little bit is different for me. And they were taking the example of that somebody took a thought of pure race, establish the Christianity for the white man. And there's a whole organization. And they say any other blood spilled on the ground is okay except the white Christians. And they say we are not embarrassed by it, we are not shamed by it, you are not going to change our mind about it, because Christianity was meant for the white man. And they are propagating it on the internet all over the world, and there are members joining the hate group establishment.
Which group is it?
Huh?
Which group?
White.
Which group is saying that?
The neo-Nazi organization. So they took that example and say, entire theosophy of evolution has caused more division than unity. Because for anyone to deliver a message, it has become absolutely fashionable to say, I am different from that.
That becomes automatically because
Like
when
product differentiation, the same marketing strategy.
Isn't that amazing?
anytime you want to reform something, you form another group, another.
Now, if that was to highlight, say for example, you can say, well, Jaswant, what are you doing? Aren't you saying I'm different? Isn't that the case? Why we're meeting here? Don't you think we are different? And my response is, we gather here to learn how to not to fall in that trap. I can be different but not better. I can point out that there is a fallacy and I can leave it completely up to you. And choose. Then say, if you don't do this, then you are destined for the hellish experiences. Which is what's going on in the world today. So, here it is basically saying, look, japa, tapa, sanjam, sadhiye. What is the other one? Tirath ki chaivas. Means to visit the holy places. Not only that, forget visiting. You can actually buy the land and start staying there. Well, this is the holy place. And Gurbani questions that. Why is one piece of land more holier than the other piece of land? What has led the mankind to believe that a certain patch of land is more holier? Isn't that what's going on today? Where did Osama's real revolt against the society came from? What's the basic root? Do you know? The presence of American base in Saudi Arabia.
Yes.
Because Saudi Arabia is also the custodian of Makkah and Medina. Both of the places associated with Prophet Muhammad. Holy Land being occupied by the infidel and nobody is doing anything about it. This is his first root of the hatred of Americans. So, actually his first act was not to hit the Americans. His first act was to hit the Saudis, the kings. And they expelled him from the country. That's when he ran to Afghanistan. And I ended up finding the sanctuary there with the Taliban, and you know the rest. The reason I'm bringing this up, the thought process which says a certain piece of land is holier than the other. And the Gurbani says, have you thought through it? Have you dwelled on it? Have you meditated on it? But you don't. Why? Because once upon a time there was a holy person, holy feet touched this place. So hence, now for the time immemorial, henceforth, this will be called Holy Land. Which is exactly what the conflict with Judaism and Islam is. Jerusalem is a holy land. What's all the rest of the land is unholy. Let's even bring it further down. A particular wall which is being kissed by and revered by three religions, all three fighting with each other, putting a claim on that wall. How far man's deviation can be. But I'm confident in that belief and I'm continue living the life. Not only that, those who don't, I'm willing to kill them or die for that belief. Still claiming to be holy and religious himself. And Gurbani questions it. It says, Tirth kiche vas pun daan changyaiyan. Now these are all considered by humanity universally good things.
Good deeds.
Isn't it?
Good deeds.
Every one of these good things. What? Pun. Pun means to give. Charitably. Dan, to give. These are all good things.
Pun is to do.
Pun is to do. Dan is to give. Changyaya means good deeds. And then Gurbani creates a question. It says, Bin sache kya tas? Tell me what is the benefit without the real truth? What good is doing to you? Instead of the meditation is not sitting quietly at some place. Gurbani says meditation is to go to the reality of whatever you are and find out from within you. And once the answer comes back, don't trust it. Ask those who have gone ahead of you. And that's the very key. Because answer from within you most of the time would be, hey, who can be holier than me? Look, I'm analyzing it. I'm sitting, I'm thinking about it. Oh, those idiots don't even think about it. I'm so great. What a high soul. I go, Actually, you have done more damage by doing that. Your arrogance, your ego actually has increased rather than becoming more humble. Understand, Jeha Radhe Teha Lugane Ben Gun Janam Vinas. Understand that whatever you do, in reality, that would be the automatic reward that will determine the outcome. If you are sowing the seed of hatred, there is absolutely no way love is going to sprout from it. It is not possible. And you can beat your chest as much as you want. If you're looking for spirituality and you are actually sowing the seeds of ritualism, that's the reward you're going to get. Ritualism is what will follow you. Ritualism is what will be your fruit. What's the fruit of ritualism? Well, the people say he's a very nice man. See, I see him church, temple every week. Nice man. That's it. That'll be the end of it. But if you are on the path of spiritual, whether you go there or not go there would be irrelevant. Because from within you, certain new glow will sprout. You wouldn't need anybody's confirmation. Because if you need the confirmation from people like you, then you are stroking your ego. If you are seeking the confirmation from your master, that's a totally different thing. It's a different quality. Because you are checking, saying, am I being deceived? Which is exactly what Jesus did. Right? For 40 days, 40 nights, he is meditating. And you heard the story, right? The devil appears. There's no devil, there's a thought coming inside. But that's how the scripture says, devil appears and say, you have arrived. You want to check it out? Jump from that hill. You won't die. You want to check? Go walk on water, you can. As soon as the thought came, what was his actual manifestation? He said to himself that the testing means I have a doubt. Right? When you ask a question, if it is a true inquiry, what does that mean? There is a certain lack of information, there is a certain ignorance there, isn't it? Question is automatic sign of certain ignorance. Checking something is automatic declaration of a doubt. Let me make sure it is so. So if I walk on water, that means I'm doubting my father, am I not? I'm checking him. If I jump, I'm trying to test him by jumping. Would he save me or would he let me die? I said, no, I'm not going to let that doubt even come up. So he killed that doubt immediately, right there and then. But interestingly, if you follow that logic, there was one doubt left. And when that doubt died, Jesus of Nazareth suddenly became Christ. What was the last doubt? Oh my Father, why have thou forsaken me? So what was he expecting? A part of him was expecting that there will be some miraculous things happen and I will be glorified. And nothing else. The Romans went home, his disciples went home, his mother and the lady Magdalene was left there. That's it. That was his last doubt. And then the last doubt dies by the statement, thy will be done. with that statement that Jesus of Nazareth is dead and the Christ is born. That's why the concept second birth basically means all of the past has been buried. Second birth does not mean that I had gone astray, now I have come back and I'm taking my whatever thing again. Understand the true meaning. And Gurbani implores every individual, saying that if you're doing that, whatever ritualism you're doing, put it to test, which is what? Bin sache kya tas. If it is not acceptable over there, and you know that, you don't need to go ask for anybody. Because the day that the real truth manifests, you yourself will become completely aware of it. There's a beautiful story, and I have shared that many times, it's very relevant here, that Lullaby was a Sufi fakir. Islam does not allow for female energy to be meditative, because it always, one of the reasons why Islam will never be democratic, because it has based itself on the principle that the female energy is subservient and subordinate to the male energy. It was designed and created as a service. Hence, they have no role in anything. So long you hold on to that principle, you can lose as many lives as you want. And you can offer that to them. It will not work. For the last 1600 years it hasn't happened, it's not going to happen. You can forget that goodbye. And that's what is being told to this administration, and say, forget the individual. You just sit in your office and look at the history. Nowadays it's available to a kid. Sign on the internet. And you can read 1600 years of journey of evolution and the current status. They have only followed three types of societies. Either dictatorship, or kings and slaves, or theocratic. Pakistan is dictatorship, Saudi Arabia is theocratic, Iran is completely Islamic, based on the Quran. That's basically it. And they would not accept anything else. That's all that they have lived, that's all they know, that's how they want to do. So when you get locked in this, the Gurbani basically pulls everyone without any exception to any and say to the human, see inside you. What is it doing to you? Unfortunately, those young souls, what are they doing? They are not seeing inside. They are saying, oh, we'll get it over there. When we change this dimension, the real rewards will be there. We don't have to change here, we just have to kill ourselves here. And Gurbani says, forget it. Actually, there is a quotation, another quotation. Moe hoye jo mukt deoge, mukt na jane koyala. Mukti. If the so-called transformation, or as we say, the enlightenment, or freedom from the life and death, if that is only available after dying, then all of the charcoal, right, the wood got burned. It died. All of the charcoal should be all enlightened. मोए होए जो मुक्त देओगे, मुक्त न जाने कोयला. What are you talking about? The real freedom from the cycle of life and death is experienced in this life. If that has not been felt from within, meaning what? The bondage. All the bondages have been freed. Each and every one. No exception to the rule. And you will know it. So this lullaby certainly experiences that feeling. And she belongs to a society who has a book, a spiritual book. And it's yea thick. And this might sound funny to you. There is not a single word written there. It's just a collection of plain white papers. And that's a spiritual book. Sounds very crazy. This lullaby takes a white piece of paper, folds it in three, put it in an envelope, and give to one of hers co-seeker who was learning with her, and say, take it to my master. So this young man runs, comes to the master, and they're all of the master's disciples sitting around, and they're all in meditative states. And this young man hands this envelope to the master. Master opens the envelopes, opens the piece of paper, and starts reading it as if the life history is there. And that young boy is going nuts. This master, after spending time, bows to the letter and passes on. And everyone does exactly the same. When it comes back to the master, master takes that paper, opens the holy book, and turn it around at the end of it, puts it in, close the books very reverently, put the book down, and then take another piece, folds it the same way, put it in the envelope, and give it to him and say, take it back. That paper comes back to lullaby. Lullaby opens the envelope, looks at the paper, and starts dancing. And the man is going nuts. What kind of system did I join? So she has now compassion on him and says, look, what you see is not what I am saying. This morning when I woke up, for the first time I experienced that which my master has been talking about. But I could be playing tricks with me. It may be completely an illusion. I don't know that. I have never experienced it before. So I wanted the confirmation from my master. Have I arrived or I am alluding to myself? And what you have brought is the confirmation by all those who are ahead of me that yes, we have seen, experienced, you are there. And that's the holy book. Every master, as it achieves, they add one paper, white paper to that book.
What group is this called?
And they just keep on passing from generation to generation to generation. Because,
But how does she know it's not the same paper that she sent?
how is it relevant?
It's the message in it.
How do you know?
Paper is not the
Nothing is
significance,
written.
it is the message.
It's the message.
But nothing is written.
It's
That is the
everything
message.
written.
Yes, he said,
That
"I have
is the
arrived."
message. That you have
Confirmation.
really become this clean, this clear. There's not even a dot left on your consciousness.
That's the message.
That is the message. And that book now
Question the draw.
has one more paper which says these many people in this system of meditation have achieved the highest state of evolution.
Now, what is this group?
Hmm?
What is this group?
Sufi group.
Sufi.
Yeah. That's what I mean when I share with you that if something does when you are growing up spiritually, if something does light up, don't go and advertise to the others. Look for something, someone, somewhere who you have the belief in that may be ahead of you and confirm. Otherwise, you may be eluding yourself. And that's what this word basically says. Jeha radhe teha lure bin gun janam vinash. Without that characteristic, without that gun means the characteristics. Without that, what will happen? Janam means this carnation, this birth, vinash will be waste. You can argue about it, you can fight against it, you can defend it. Certain truths are just truths, whether you believe it or not, whether you accept them or not. It is not subject to your acceptance. They are not subject to your vote. They just are. And you can argue and say, well, no, wait a minute. That's not nice. Okay. So, munde gurdasi sukha hoye. Munde means the one who's naive, who thinks that they know. And they can, oh, I'm an intelligent being, I have so many degrees, I have written so many books. I run into these people in Gurdwara almost every week. They introduce themselves first by telling me how many books they have written. Now, I don't mean any disrespect to them. What is a book writing? Collect some material from here, collect some material from there, collect from there, and put them in a new arrangement. Well, I have written books. You have done nothing. Your PhDs are absolutely garbage because they are the vote of similar people like you. That's basically it. What's a PhD? A few people in a group looks at it and say, yeah, we agree. And what's their qualification? They had a few people look and say, we agree. Spirituality isn't a science of consensus. It isn't. Spirituality is actual achievement. It's neither discussion, neither demonstration, and not even reformation. You may be reformed in your views and say, I'm now more informed than I was before. And you may become a little bit sophisticated now. And you may be able to throw the words here and there. And you may be able to impress few people. Unless the consciousness goes up, unless darkness starts dimming from inside, unless the real light starts evolving from within, all waste. And what is the beginning? Gurbani comes back and says, Munde, O naive one, Guna, the real characteristic. Which one? Dasi. What's a das? A slave. Literally translated, a slave. What is a slave? Not the one who's paid for.
No.
That's not a slave.
One way, no doubt.
100% surrendering. No questions, no doubts, and no deviation. A slave. The true slave is not who is in that state of being because of helplessness. Right? I mean, we know the slavery, the people who are bought and sold. and then they were put in chains so that they would not run. Or the people used to chop their hands or chop their legs or chop their this and that to control them. That's not a true slave. Not in spirituality. A slave is that the master may say go and so where I'm going to go. What's my place if not with you? The Sikhs who have read the history, they know that's exactly what happened to the second master. The first master actually asked him, all those who came here are gone. Why don't you go? Don't you have a home someplace? Don't you have a family? What are you doing here? And that was his response. Tujnu chhod jaiye kedar. Where should I go? That's the slave. There's a beautiful story about a Sufi master called Ibrahim. He was a very rich man once, had a lot of slaves. And he went to the market to buy a new slave. So a young man, something unique about him, and he bought him, brought him home, and asked him, what's your name? He said, master, whatever you give me. He said, no. What is the name your parents gave you? How is that relevant? What they liked, they called me. You are the master. Whatever you call is my name. No matter how hard he tried, he wouldn't tell the name. He says it's irrelevant. You are a very strange man. What do you like? Any particular things? Your happiness is my happiness. They started living together. And suddenly he finds that this boy, no matter what he says, he does this with such a gusto as if he has been given the reward. Never a complaint, never a demand. One day, they are going together, both are on the horses, and the master, in the middle of the day, tells him, tie the horses here and let's take a rest. And then he sees a tree and say, go to the right on that tree and bring a fruit, wash in that water and cut it and let's eat something. And he cuts it and says, master, if you don't mind, can I take this first piece? This is the first time this slave has asked anything of the master. And the master says, oh, gladly. He eats it, cuts the second piece, and asks again, can I have the second piece? Okay, fine. He cuts the third piece, and this time the master says, wait a minute, you had half, give it to me. He doesn't listen to the master and he eats. The master gets angry. How greedy can you get? And snatches the fourth piece from his hand. As soon as he takes a bite, the whole body fills with poison. It's bitter. Oh, I didn't see a single thing on your face. Why didn't you tell me? And says, master, ever since I have met you, only sweet things have come from your hand. First time, if the better thing has come, should I complain? Should I ignore all the sweet things that I have received from your hand so far? What kind of a slave I would be? If for the first bitter, and I should go into complaining. Abraham gave him everything that he owned, put him in charge of it, say, I have not even learned to be a slave, how can I be a master? So I first better learn to be a slave. We better learn to be a slave. Slave to what? Not to an individual, not to a group, not to a society, not to a system, but slave to the creative energy whose part we are. Because what separates us from that energy is that I am something. I'm not a slave. I am something. Remember that little poster I have seen in many homes, like a little template in which says, little child, I know I am something, God creates no junk. I know I am somebody, because God creates no junk. No, God creates junk as well as no junk. And when you drop that feeling, what happens? Avagun tyag samaye gurmat pura soy. What is the avagun? Gun means the positive energy, avagun means the negative energy. Right? What is the gun it said? Look at the line. Mundhe gunadasi sukh hoye. O naive one. The real blessings are when you become the slave in the true sense. So what should happen? Avagun. Drop all the negative characteristics that are stopping you from experiencing that feeling of I am surrendered to you. Thy will be done. If you do that, Avgun Tyag. Once you give this up, Tyag means to give it up completely. Then you become ready for Samaye, means to become one with one. Samana is to merge. Merge in what? Gurmat Pura Soy. The one who is the complete. What is the complete one? How is that possible? It says Gurmat. Due to the advice of that master, Gur Mat. Mat means intellect. Mat means to teach. Gur, the one who has gone ahead of you, who is the master. From there, if you find that, you will become capable of merging into the one. Otherwise, it's not possible. You may be liquid, right? Oil is a liquid, water is a liquid. Oil and water cannot merge. They may sit next to each other. Right? To merge with one, water has to become water. Otherwise, there is no merging. So, Gurbani says, Vastu andar vast samave duji hove pas. Like one can merge. The unlike may sit next to each other, but they cannot merge. So if you have that yearning that I want to merge, you don't need to go to a master then. You already know. Basic principle. Only water can merge into water. Lights can only merge into one. Right? Iron ore can merge into iron ore, but the copper can sit next to it. So if you want to merge, then start becoming like him. And isn't that beautiful that the creative energy never says, I have done this? There should be signboard somewhere, right? I mean, this is God's house, right? Is it written in Makkah that I have created this? Or in Jerusalem that is God says that I have made this earth, I have made this planet, I have made this. Is there any signboard anywhere? How do we call it? This is God's house. What's the rest of them? We have gone completely astray from the mystical message, and Gurbani says, Avagan Tyag, give it up. Go beyond it. So that you become capable of samaye, to merge. Gurmat Pura Soe. He is the complete one, everything else is incomplete. Vinarasi Vapariya Takke Kunda Char. But that's not what's happening. What's happening? It's a Vinarasi Vapariya. Ras literally means the initial investment. Right? If you want to open a shop, you first have to go buy stuff and bring it, only then you can start the shop. That first investment is called Ras. Right? Without that, if there is no investment, you can start the business. But what's the human being doing? So they are like, they want to start the business of spirituality, but have no investment. Venarasi Vapariya Takke Kundanchar, and they are looking all around outside. They are looking at all places to find somehow or other the shortcut. This system is not working for me, let me find that one. Well, that's not working for me, let me find one. They are like me, there are a few like me who says, well, let's do all of them. Something will happen. And we take it very pride. I go to church, I go to masjid, I go to gurdwara, I go to temple. See, I'm going everywhere. Someone should obey. Why? Why we do that? Because the way the outside world works, right? You buy as many tickets, so the probability of winning the lottery becomes easy. I don't know if you, that brings to my memory when I had just come to America. I was in New York, and the New York lottery had just started. And a funny thing happened in the very first lottery, that they published that the odds of winning $1 million lottery is 57,600 to 1. A newly married couple added their assets from both sides, and it came exactly to 57,600. They went to a bank, mortgaged everything. Instead, if the probability is 1 to 57,600, they bought 57,600 tickets, rented a home in the hotel, spent all night scratching the tickets, and guess what? They won. We are young, we just went and we can make it all. If we lose, we will rebuild it. Let's check this theory out, because it's not a coincidence why it added to the penny all the assets of the boy and the girl. They bury everything. These are the people who are called Vinarasi Vapariya. Looking outside. They lucked out. They did well the $1 million. And it was advertised and people were crazy. It is from there the concept of people pooling their money started. Rather buying one ticket, pool, and then if you are buying 200, then your chances are that much more. Unfortunately, you can't do that in the world of spirituality. There is no such shortcuts. Why are they doing it? Vinarasi Vapariya Takke Kundachar. And here's the reason why they are doing it. Mool na bujhe apna. Mool means the essence. And they don't understand the essence. They only are attracted by the outer decorations. And they don't understand the essence. What is the essence? Gurbani says the essence is Vastarahi Karbar. The essence is not to go outside. The real thing, the vast, means the real thing is kar, inside you. It's there. But the search is not inside. Search is all outside. Running around. Trying to do many things. Falling into all kinds of rituals. In the hope of winning the ultimate lottery. And that's not going to happen. It doesn't happen. Vastalahe kare apne. No. Vin vakkar dukh agala. Kood muthi kodya. Without that investment, what happens? Dukh agala. Then the suffering becomes the destiny. And we can say, well, what is the suffering for me? I'm okay. I'm making a decent living. I was living in India. Now I'm in America. I have a house. My children are educated. I have a good car, good wife, good things. So what's the problem here? Gurbani doesn't see this as a dukh or sukh. To Sikhism, there's only one malady in all humanity, which is the cycle of life and death. Have to be born and go through the cycle of pleasure and pain. That's the only dukkha, the only pain that Gurbani recognizes. Everything else is illusion. And the sukha is the freedom from that cycle. That's it. Having a comfortable life in this carnation is not the sukha or the dukkha. It is the pleasure of the senses. And all of the senses will drop at the end of the cycle. They don't go with you. None of the senses accompany us. Hence, it's irrelevant. So, without that, what happens? Kood muthi kudayar. The untruth leads to more untruth and you never get out of it. Laha ahnes nautana parkhe ratan vichar. The real prophet, Laha means the prophet. Ahnes mean day and Nis mean night. Day night meaning their what? All of their life cycle. Those who devote to what? Parkhe Ratana Vichar. Start. Parkhana is to analyze and find out the truth about it. That's Parkhana. Ratan means the most valuable stone that mankind knows. That's called Ratan. And what is that Ratan to Gurbani? Is Vichar. That thought, that analysis, which gets to the essence of the message, is more valuable than the most valuable stone that humanity has known. मूल ना बुझे अपना वस्त्र ही कारबार विन वखर दुख अगला कूड़ मुठी कुड़ियार लाहा अहनस नाउतना परखे रतन विचार वस्त्र लहे करे अपने चले का हिस्सा. Once it recognizes that, then it becomes capable of what? Vastha lahe ghare apne. Ghar literally means this body. Then it starts looking inside and challe karesar. Then it actually completes the purpose for which this body has been given. Van ja rahe hain so van jakar gurmukh brahma vichar. So, Gurbani says, bring the true businessman now. You have not learned to become the true businessman. Say for example, you are going to see the world. So what you do? You go to the bank and you take some cash so that you can spend it on the way. But you don't take the whole cash with you, right? You make a draft so that you can then turn it into cash in the next. Isn't that the total journey's principle? Some that you can spend on the way, some that you can cash at the end. That draft. So Gurbani questions you. He says, you are doing some good today. And then tomorrow somebody does that good to you in return. So what is that? That's a cash that you can spend on the way. So where's your draft? That you can cash over there. Where is that? All you're doing is, right, if you do community service and when you need somebody come and help you, yeah. Well, he helps always the others. Now he's in trouble. So the community will come and help you. If you help a friend, that some other friend will help you. So what's happening? This is the good deeds being repaid somewhere along the line in the same lifetime. Meaning what? That's your cash that you're spending in your journey. But what happens when you reach the journey? Where is that investment? Where is that draft? So you have not learned it. You haven't created that draft. That is only cashable in that branch. Right? Because this cash that you have created will remain here. You can't take that with you. But there is a certain draft that you can take with you. You're not doing that. Hence, one jariyan so one jagar, become a real businessman. You can't even be that. You want to be a businessman, then at least follow that principle. Here is my short-term investment, here is my long-term investment. Do something. You can't even do that. One jariyan so one jagar, Gurmukh Brahma Vichar. What is that one? Brahm. Think of that ultimate creative energy, Brahm. Vichar, the thought process. You have not at all spent time even as a businessman and you say, look, if you talk to Bill Gates today, he will tell you that he started with nothing in his own lifetime, and it's a true statement. And I am the richest man in the world today, and that's a true statement. And then a mystic walks around and says, well, that's fine. What you been doing with all the billions when you are 6 feet under? Where is that money that you are going to spend? I understand you created the wealth for this dimension. Where is the wealth for that dimension? Have you even thought about it? Brahma Vichar, have you thought about even? संता संगत पाइये जे मेले मेलन हार मिलिया होए न विछड़े जिस अंतर ज्योत अपार सच्चे आसन सच रहे सच्चे प्रेम विचार. That thought, if you have ever thought about it, what will happen? Here is the next up, automatic, which is Santa Sangat Paye. You will start looking for the company of those who have thought about it. Right? I mean, in this business also, you look for something and then look for a partner that you can go do business with, isn't it? It's if you thought you would start looking for those businessmen who sunk. Those saintly souls who have gone there, you'll start looking for them. Santan Sangat Paye. And if you start looking, he will supply the rest of the energy. He will grace you. He will send that energy to you. That creator will make sure that you get it. And once you're there, milya hoye na vichhade jis antar jod apar. Once you start on that process, Gurbani guarantees you cannot step back. Once you have tasted that, you won't be able to step back. Then you are into that Jod Apar, that light, who is transcendental. You will start going nearer and nearer, and what happens? Sache asan sach rahe, sache prem pyar. Now, your whole of the business philosophy will change. Isn't that interesting? That Bill Gates, what to think about it? Do you think he will be able to say, well, let's make sure that the browser is a part of this so that I can kill the competition? Give it free. Do you know he did that? AOL became a very successful company. Netscape gave the browser, and they were selling the browser to the world. And he made part of the Windows and gave it free. Had the antitrust law not gotten after him, he was going to kill all AOLs and the Netscapes and everybody. It was the antitrust attorneys who came after him and said, you can't suppress the competition. You can't give it away free. Not as a part of the Windows software. Separate it. Give it free, but make it separate. Because otherwise, anybody who buys a window automatically gets that. You can't do that. Let the people make a choice. If they want your browser, give them free. It's okay. But you cannot hide it so that they don't have a choice between Netscape browser and your browser. And he did these kind of things all his life. Today, he is the philanthropist of the world. And we say, well, he's doing something good. Come on, why are you bad-mouthing such a good man? I'm not bad-mouthing anything. I'm sharing with you that as the thought process changes, which is, what's my investment there? Suddenly, everything else changes automatically. Nobody needs to tell you not to do. Don't do that. Nobody needs to tell you. But that's not a thought process. So it doesn't matter whether it's a politician or a businessman. If the thinking changes, which is Santa Sangat Paye Je Mele Melanahar Milya Hoye Na Vichhade Jis Antar Jot Apar Sache Asan Sach Rahe Sache Prem Pyar. Everything then is driven by the ultimate truth. So you wouldn't be able to do. You will become the businessman that Gurbani is asking you to try to become. Jinni aap pashaniya kar mein mahal sothai. Those who have recognized the self, the self, they have understood ghar mein mahal sothai. They have understood the real truth. It is the inner recognition to be able to say to the self. You don't have to tell others, at least to be able to say to self, yeah, I still have the greed. Yeah, I still have the attachment. Yes, I'm still pulled in this direction. Yes, I still have the anger. I still have the ego. That acknowledgement alone free you up. I don't know how many of you saw the movie Out on the Limb by Shirley MacLaine, in which his guide takes him to the ocean and asks her to face the ocean and yell, I am God. And she can't do it. She says, but I am not. It says, right now, that God consciousness is just sleeping inside. It's hidden. It's not manifested. But do you consider yourself to be different and separate? Are you declaring yourself, God, you are you and I am I? And suddenly she wakes up. Wait a minute, you're right. I am, by saying that I cannot acknowledge myself, I have set myself apart from him by just doing that. And she writes in her biography that the moment she yelled at the top, she said, oh, there's nobody listening, listen, just you and I and the ocean. Even the birds are not around. So what are you ashamed of? Just yell. And he says that she cannot describe that type of liberation and freedom she felt inside. I am God. I am. What is Gita? Aham Brahmasi. I am not separate. The separateness is the illusion, is the magic. But if I am not even willing to acknowledge that intellectually, how will I experience it? I am not even allowing the possibility. Isn't it? Try yourself. If you are shy about others listening to you, go alone by yourself. Go stand in the ocean and face it. And say that. I am you. You are me. See what it does to you. Sorry. Just experiment. That's what this statement is saying.
The hesitation is natural.
It's learned. It's all learned.
Yeah.
That hesitation
Is natural.
Yeah, it's that natural part is not enforced by the nature. It's forced by our upbringing. Nature doesn't say that you are separate. Let's just go deeper into that.
No, nature does not say, but will that make me, if I am God, will that make me
Arrogant?
Arrogant, egotistic, that I am something.
If you start
Behaving like
because the reality is, more you get closer to the God consciousness, more humble you start becoming.
So the qualities should start coming in, huh?
That I'm saying, say it from the perspective that my separateness from you is an illusion that has been indoctrinated into me.
I am you is different.
I am you.
Yeah,
You are me. But I was always told, pray to God. The concept of prayer has done innumerable damage. Because it creates I and you. One the prayer, one to who the prayee, and one is the one who is done to. Two shall always be separate. In reality, they are not.
But then everybody says, what do you think? You're God?
I am God consciousness. The God in me hasn't manifested yet in the form that it truly is. But I am that God consciousness. I'm not separate. That's why, the Chinese bring those squares to explain. One square goes into another, one square goes into another, and another, and they have 7 squares. and they tell you what you are as the outermost square. And the problem is you are identified with the outermost square. What are you? The center. But the center is not visible to you. You need to drop these squares first. Now that's a Chinese model. And Buddha didn't make the squares. He said, look at the onion. Take a layer off. More layers comes off, more closer to you are. And when all the layers comes out of the onion, what's left?
Nothing.
That's what you are. Because it's not really nothing. It is something. And that something is you. But you are identified with the outermost layer. Looking at the outermost layer, it creates a separation. And the outermost layer, separation, causes the conflict. Because my outer layer is not similar to your outer layer. Hence, now I am proud of my outer layer, so I fight. But as you start taking the layers out, you start getting closer. So those who at least acknowledge this, that my separation is self-imposed, the original sin. We are all born sinners. We have talked about that. What is our sin? As soon as we were born, we called ourselves as individual. And you know what that word actually meant? We called ourselves individual being without being the individual. Individual means something that cannot be divided, isn't it? Individual. It's not divided. Are we not? Right? We sing, is dil ke tukde hazar hue, koi yahan gira, koi wahan gira. We are divided. Part of us resides in our children, part of us in our wealth, part of us in our lovers, part of us in what we do. And there are so many parts. And we were supposed to be indivisible. We were supposed to be one. And we made the very first sin the moment we are born. And the parents became the co-conspirator. And the society and the universities and the education system further kept on reinforcing it. You are somebody unique. Don't we do that today? As we raising the children? Every mother knows that. Every mother who sends the child to the school kisses him and says, you know, you're the most handsome boy I have ever met. You are the prettiest girl ever born on this earth. Mirror, mirror on the wall. Who's the prettiest of them all? And the mirror always says the same thing to everybody. You are. Mirror cannot tell the truth. Why? Because it's reflecting you. How is it going to reflect the truth?
But if we're all God, then it is telling the truth.
If we were to manifest from within that God consciousness, you wouldn't look in the mirror. There will be no need. You already know. We look in the mirror because we don't know. And we want the confirmation from the mirror. And the mirror comes back and says, yeah, this is what you want to hear? Yes.
But it keeps us going.
Where? It keeps you going where? In the same circle.
Chasing our tail.
It keeps you going, get up in the morning, eat breakfast, go to work, come back, eat dinner, go to sleep, produce children, go on, raise children. What are you doing? That's why Gurbani compares that if you put a blinder on the animal and send him in a circle, as far as the animal concerned, he has traveled miles. And when you open the blindfold, somebody looks at him, he's standing right there where he started. Which is what we are. I can promise you that if your child was come to you and say, I'm going to become a Christ, you will lose your mind. What kind of goal is this? Become a doctor, become an engineer, become an attorney, be a businessman. You want to become a saint? You want to become a meditator? We'll lose our mind. Because we are not conditioned. Hence, we want to make sure that it is our stupidity that is duplicated for the rest of the life. And that is what that parable of Christ is. One sheep was lost, and the sheep herder went looking for him. The sheep who followed the sheep have no value. The one who dared to go astray, away from the crowd, on his own, that's what a Buddha is. That's what a Jesus is. That's what a Nanak is. The parents was nuts, and you have heard about it, right? When Nanak declared that his journey is different, what happened? Father started killing him, beating him, slapping, left and right. How dare you? We are business people. Go do some business. They say, yes, I am doing business. What business was he doing? He was doing long-term investments. He was worried about the draft. He was not worried about the expenses in this. Father couldn't understand it. So, to your point, yes, we are God consciousness, but not intellectually. We have to manifest that. We have to personify that within ourselves. And then a strange thing will happen. There will be no mirror needed. As a matter of fact, there is a technique of meditation called Tartak. That technique is start staring in the mirror. Just sit and stare in the mirror. And you'll be surprised. It's a very powerful technique. If you can start staring without moving your eyes, as your practice grows, you will start seeing the projections from within you appearing in the mirror. And what are they waiting for? They're waiting for the day, and there's nothing in the mirror. So you just see white, complete white in the mirror. They continue staring. That's the technique in Tantra. All of your inner projections will keep on reflecting in the mirror.
I don't think I want to see.
Start. You are not going to be able to go to somebody and say, show me.
But what I'm saying is, I don't think I want to see what is all inside.
Why not?
I may not like it.
Precisely. That's why you want to see. Because that which you don't like about yourself, you expect him to like about you?
He put it there.
No, he didn't. You did. He just gave you the freedom. Put whatever you want to put it. And you put it there. And let me tell you, in this journey, you have to confront every demon, every skeleton in your closet. You have to face it. This is you. It's nobody else. German psychologist actually developed a technique of solving people problem by calling hot seat. And you may have heard of that technique. And that's what he used to do. He would say, bring your dream to me. Even if it is a partial. And what was the hypothesis? It says, in your dream, whatever you are dreaming, it is part of you. Right? You may say, well, no, wait a minute, I'm dreaming about my mother. No, you are your mother there. You're sleeping by yourself, where's your mother? Mother not sleeping with you. She can get into your dream. You have created your mother out of your thought. So you say, okay, you dreamt about your mother? You say, sit here. And I put an empty chair in front of you and he'll sit next to you. You say, put your mother in that chair. And talk to her. Whatever comes to you, whatever you want to tell your mother, tell. So you will say something. And then you'll say, okay, now change the chair. Go back to your mother chair. Now answer the daughter. You are the mother, answer the daughter. And in that role play, you will try to avoid certain things. Not have to say it or do it, and he'll force you. No, confront it. That is the hole in that you need to now make good. That's your problem. You are avoiding these things. You can't. And he used to cure so many psychological problems just by playing that drama. In spirituality, in meditation, as your consciousness goes deeper, it digs out the older memory. And it brings it out and it presents to you your memories. And what's required of you at that time? Just acknowledgement. No judgment. No attachment. No criticism. No escape. Why? Because it's past. For a meditator, dragging your past with you is the biggest sin. Why? Because all of those things were done in ignorance. If the mind was aware, you will never do that. When the mind was asleep, it did it. Right? Even in this, all over the world, in this world, an insane person is not punished for what he has done. Is it not?
Right.
A sane person can never do those things. So when you did, you were insane. So why are you punishing yourself?
Good logic.
Drop it. Yes, it was you. Acknowledge it. Yes, I was the rapist. Okay, fine. Now, if you insist to punish me, then you can create your own hell and burn in it. Nobody's creating any hell for you. You are creating it for yourself. And a meditator must confront every memory, acknowledge it, and then drop it. Neither love a good memory nor hate a bad memory. Because if you give the energy to positive or negative, it will refresh itself. Right? If you did something then when you are 3 years old, that memory pops on your consciousness. Memory is very good. You are 30 years old now. You like that memory, suddenly it becomes today's memory. So instead of getting rid of it, you give it a new life. Same is the case with the bad memory. You stole something. You told a lie. You cheated somebody. When it presents to you, that's you. When? When you are completely ignorant. You are insane. You are under the influence Maya. Now you are aware. You drop it. Not by saying it's not me. Insane did it. No, you did it. Acknowledge it. which is what? Christianity's method of confession. That's what it is. It's pure psychological device. The problem which has become in Christianity is, okay, I do from Monday to Saturday all the things, Sunday I go, I confess, come back, do start doing Monday again. Right? Remember the Godfather? He goes to the priest, he absolves himself and then comes back and does the same thing. Create a vendetta again. And that's what we do. So Gurbani here basically says, when you are on that path, then this will automatically happen. Sache asan, sach rahe, sache prem pyar. Everything then is measured with one yardstick. Nothing to do with the neighborhood, nothing to do with the society, nothing to do with the children, and nothing to do with the family. Everything is measured by, am I getting closer there or not? And the closer means the truth. जिन्नी आप पछाणिया घर में महल सोथाए सच्चे सेती रत्तियां सच्चे पल्ले पाए त्रे भवन सो प्रभ जानिए साचो साचे नाए. So it's the basically repetition of the same thought. Jinni आप पछाणिया, those who have recognized themselves, they have recognized that everything is within, and they go into the path of sache seti ratiyan. See, the word repeats itself again and again. Truth, the ultimate truth. Get absorbed by it, get absorbed into it. Ratya means get absorbed into it. Sacho palle pai, carry with you day and night. Tre bhavan so prabhajaniye. Understand that there is no one place where he is or he is not. Tre bhavan means all around. Everywhere. This concept of house of God is complete misnomer in the humanity. Complete misnomer. There is no house of God and there is no house of devil. All is his creation and he is all there, everywhere. We do that for a social etiquette, right? We go to church, we cover our head, fine. No, this is God's house. No, it's not. It's just a social etiquette. Sitting leg folded is only an etiquette. It has nothing to do with that. I'm not showing my feet to God. Oh? What kind of nonsense is this? Covering the head basically means that you are sitting in a place, the hair are going to fall, the cleaning becomes difficult, so cover it. That's all. I have seen people going to church and instead of covering, they take the hat off. Right? Take the hat off and lay the cross. 6 do the opposite. If they go to the church, they put a turban on. They are not going to go barehead. Okay. It's a pure social etiquette. Don't add any more value to it. What have we done? I have seen people fighting over this. Rajneesh visited Amritsar. The guy who was standing right outside said, cover your head. He said, why? Well, you are entering into the holy place. He said, well, is this unholy place? He said, well, I'm not going to let you get in. He said, fine, then I'm not going in at all. Goes back. And see, you people who taught the world that Nanak went to the Makkah, house of Muslim God, and the keeper of that place said, don't sleep with your feet to the God's house. And all he said was, fine, I'm tired, old man. Would you please move my feet where God is not there? That's all. Pick up my feet and move in the direction that God is not. And that was enough. The rest of the story we have, built it up that when he started moving and then the bucka started moving and he was moving and
It's true.
Nothing was more.
All kinds of.
all he did was say, okay, I'm not going to argue with you. Because he was sleeping with the feet spread, facing to the wall where that symbol is. And he comes in, who are you with a kafir? Why don't you know sleeping in the house of God with the feet toward the fine. Pick up my feet and move it. How can you make your God so small? He's all pervading. He's omnipresent, omniscient, omnipowerful.
They do the same thing in the Gurdwara.
We do the same thing, yeah.
Leg like this.
But that's an etiquette. Social etiquette. It is a small place. It needs to accommodate a lot of people. If everybody sits there and comes and I'm going to relax here.
Even when there are not many people, you can't do that.
Etiquette, says right.
It's a simple
You
etiquette.
have to sit up alert and everything,
Yeah.
It's not that loud.
But they don't. I mean, you want to teach the children etiquette, that's okay. It's an etiquette. It's a social norm. As somebody walks in, you say hello. That's a social norm. It's not a requirement. And that's what the children do today. They just walk by you. Well, hey, did you say hello to uncle?
Hi. Hi.
Hi के लिए तो ही बहुत है.
Maybe
So,
when they ask.
Tre bhavan so prabhajaniye. He's all around. Sacho sache nae, sa dhan khari sohavani, jin par jata sang. Sadhan. Now he's taking the metaphor of husband and wife. How can the wife not perceive the husband with her? How can she call herself wife if she is walking around separate away from? Isn't it? I mean, husband and wife, wherever they go, don't they go together? They don't. That's why they are not husband and wife. And what happens when you go alone? What's the first question?
Where is he?
Where is he? Isn't it? Why? It's a fundamental requirement. So, sadhan khari sohavani. The real wife is jin pir jata sang, who always is with the husband. Mehli mehal banaye so pir rave rang. Those wives who have truly recognized the husband, for them the whole pleasure is with the husband and not without it. What is this society doing today? This is ladies' night now. No man allowed. We take pride in that. It's a ladies' night. What do you mean? What does that tell us? That the husband and wife relationship has not been understood. Husband and wife relationship was meant to be partnership on the journey of spiritual evolution. The children were just a byproduct, not the real reason. Because for children to appear on this planet, you don't need to be anything. You don't need to be husband and wives, you don't need to be lovers, you don't need to be anything. All you need to be mate. And today's science has taken care of that too. You don't even need to mate. Mystics already knew that. And Sikhism declares to the world, those people who have been given the legal and social license to be together are not husband and wife. Only those who have acknowledged the true meaning, which is masculine energy and feminine energy joining hands together, on the spiritual evolution. On that journey, if they are walking together, you can call them husband and wife if you want. They are the true one. And that's what this is saying. Mehli mehl bulaiye. They live together in every which way. So pir raave rang. That's the real enjoyment. Such sohagan sa bhali pir mohi gun sang. Sohagan means the one who's really married. Opposite of that is dohagan. So who's the real sohagan? Who's the real married one? He says pir mohi gun sang. Those who are being mohi, attached with what? Husband of us all. Bhuli bhuli thar chada chad thal chad dugar jao ban mein bhuli je firan ben gur booj na bao. So that's what is happening. Bhuli. We have all forgotten the real message and what is happening because of that. Bhuli bhuli je firan fir aap ho jao. What has the outcome of that result is well, then the cycle of life and death. Go, come back, and keep on in that cycle. Put ban bhuli je phiran ben gur booj na pao. And if you are really lost, then understand that without the help of those who are gone ahead of you, you are not going to be able to catch yourself. It is absolutely no way that you're going to be, because you are the one who's lost. Naturally, you need somebody else to help you to get out of that cycle. Na wo bhuli je phira fir aao jao. And if you are completely lost away from the world, then the cycle of life and death will be always in its completeness. Pucho jao padhawa. Padhawa means those who are already walking on the path. Go ask them and they will tell you. What will tell you? Challe chakar hoy. You can only walk on this path in humility. Chakar means the slave again. You can only walk this in humility. Rajan jane apana darkar thak na hoy. And if you think you are somebody, Rajan means you are somebody. Raja means king. If you think you are a king, well, all right, fine. Be the king of the nothing. Dargar thak na hoy. You are not going to be able to get there. Nanak eko ravrya duja avar na koe. Understand that these things would only put you into the multi-world of illusion to get back to the one who's the one. Nanak eko, one. Ravrya, the one who's all manifested. Without him, there is no second one. The model of devil and angels, etc., are all our own creation. There is no devil, there is no angel, there is nothing. All is that one, manifesting as a positive and a negative energy. That's basically it. Unless you accept that and move on the path, the cycle of life and death will remain forever. So, with that, we conclude the hymn 6 at Ashatpadi, and I want to thank you all for coming, and if there's any questions, we can discuss it.